It's me again. I'm not dead. Just got a lot of things going on, a lot of good things. So let's get right into it. So this is gonna be a month's worth of journals. That is crazy, but where do I even start? Well, to get started, I shot a gun. I went to Minnesota, saw some weird stuff, met some cool people, made some new friends, made progress in my goals. And yes, you heard me right. I did shoot a gun. This is before I left for Minnesota, so like a week or a couple of weeks before. I shot a Glock 19X 9 millimeters with a red dot sight. Man, it was a very scary experience, man. uh, Trash aim, of course. I mean, this is my first time shooting a gun. As you pulled the target back, my aim kind of got worse, but overall, great experience. Kind of felt good hitting the target. Got that adrenaline running. But I was a bit scared, to be honest, not gonna lie. Like the sounds, I guess, the recoil of the gun as well. Like it kind of got me thinking. I even discussed this with my friends. Like, what goes through people's heads when they shoot a gun to kill someone? Like, I can't fathom like actually killing someone with a gun. Like after shooting one, right? But that would be a different story, of course, if I'm like mad at this person, if the person like shot at me first or like threatened my life or my family's life. But shooting the person when I have the power over them doesn't really sit right to me, especially if I hold an advantage. Kind of got me thinking though, like if this was a, I don't know, like an armed robbery situation, would I still shoot the person? Kind of depends though. Like I feel like if I am outgunned or outnumbered, then for me it kind of makes no sense to shoot the person. I think it also depends on the person that's threatened as well. Like if it's some random person I don't know held at gunpoint and there's a lot of people like involved in the crime, I probably wouldn't. But let me know what your like what you guys would do. What would make you want to kill someone or shoot a gun at someone, and let me know why. Personally, I don't really see myself like I guess shooting someone unless like they shot at me first or I need to defend something. Would I do it again? Yeah, I'm down to shoot a gun again. Last time I went was with my friend, so this time I guess I will go with my dad. Maybe my dad and my friends, but who knows? But definitely need to get my grip right. So I guess I can convince my dad to teach me how to do that. Maybe shoot a couple of new guns like a rifle and shotgun. Yeah, if that's something I guess if I'm interested in or my dad has time for, I guess I can go with him. So yeah, shot a gun. I went to Minnesota right after. So how'd it go? Well, everything went well as planned, of course. Like I had some help with planning with my family and friends. So it wasn't too bad. I also did a couple of research on the internet. That was my first time traveling. And hey, I'm back here in one piece. Yay. A lot of it was me just, I guess, following instructions, look at signs around, asking questions, of course. That's a big thing. Looking things up and thanking the person that answered the question, of building a good rapport with them. All of those helped, right? So planning and, not being afraid to ask questions if you need help. I stayed at an Airbnb, rented a car. I think a Volkswagen Jetta 2022. I had to drive it in eco mode to save money on gas. But what pissed me off, man, was not bringing my car insurance with me, man. So I had to pay insurance per day. I think it totaled up to maybe 300 by the end of the week. It was a whole fiasco. So yeah, if you plan on going to a whole different like state, bring your car insurance. All right, don't forget that. So what did I eat? Well, I had because of the time I was there for a week, and like I majority of the time was going to school, so I had like a trash diet. I couldn't really make anything to eat, so just like fast food stuff. Taco Bell a couple of times, maybe like 2 days in the entire week I was there. Things I can make myself, like so I got some waffles, I got some orange juice, bought some cake, milk and cereal, right? Just some basic stuff. I didn't have time to cook, so those are the things I can really afford in terms of time. So yeah, funny enough, like during school when we were taking blood pressure, man, my blood pressure was off the charts because of the cholesterol from the eggs. But yeah, funny story. But again, there's really nothing I could do. That's what I can afford based on the time I was there. So it is what it is. But my blood pressure is down now. It's normal. I'm not stressed out, right? So how was the experience? The differences I noticed in Minnesota versus Atlanta is number one, their roads are wide, right? Like that was very disorienting when I got there. But apparently the roads are wide because, well, obviously they live in the north, it snows over there, so the side pockets are meant to collect the snow. So that's cool to know. Not every state is the same, right? So accommodations have to be made based on the environmental conditions there. So that was pretty cool. Um, I also noticed that there were less skyscrapers as there are in Atlanta, right? So might be area dependent. I'm not sure because I stayed at St. Paul. That's like what 15-20 minutes away from the airport. So maybe in other areas it might be a lot of skyscrapers, but as far as I know, there are less skyscrapers there in general in Minnesota than in Atlanta. There are a couple of nice houses there. Makes me think that Minnesota, I think overall per capita, is a much more wealthier country than Atlanta. But that's kind of funny and odd because Atlanta has or Georgia has more like headquarters here, right? There's a CNN, there's a Jack Weston country, so I don't understand why there isn't more money. Who knows? It might be because of the wealth divide, but that's interesting to note. Atlanta has more data centers and more headquarters here than Minnesota, but we're still, I guess, behind on wages and wealth. Interesting to note. A funny story, actually. My phone almost died on me on the highway, so definitely scary. If I wasn't panicking, but that's a lie. I was panicking, but got this cool video though of this loon I found in the middle, so that kind of calmed me down. So if you're interested in seeing that video, just go over to my Instagram and check it out. So yeah, overall experience driving around Minnesota, it's pretty average, pretty normal. Some cool sights. All right, so now we move on to the meat of this video. What did I actually do in Minnesota? Well, I went to the Science Museum and I went to school, right? That's the plan, right? For the Science Museum, I can only go there for one day. So I went on Sunday and the rest of the week was pretty much just me going to school. So what did I see in the Science Museum? Well, I went to the exhibits of quackery and medical frauds, they call it, right? The major theme I got there was the distinction between scams and misguided science, right? So what I actually saw there was I saw some things from, I guess, the Battle Creek vibratory chair. I saw some things about radionics, some things about phrenology. I saw some things about traditional medicine, right? Some pretty cool stuff. Yeah, that distinction between scams and misguided science was pretty interesting to me. This is something that wasn't in the exhibit. It's just something I came to the conclusion of. Yeah, for example, like with the Battle Creek vibratory chair, this was actually made by a guy that's like a well-renowned surgeon, right? Dr. Kellogg. And yes, Kellogg, right? The guy that made cornflakes and Frosted Flakes, the same guy actually, his foundation. He just wanted to build something that, kind of speaks to his hobby. He is interested in nutrition and physical fitness, so he designed a chair. I personally don't see anything wrong with that, except he tried to sell it as like a cure for constipation, and that's where he lost me. Like, I don't really think you getting like vibrated on a chair is gonna fix your constipation. So I can understand his enthusiasm, but as far as selling it as a cure for constipation, you kind of lost me there. So is that a scam or is that misguided science? I don't know. I don't know his intentions, but people have to be careful with that distinction between enthusiasm and claiming you know something, right? I'm guilty of this, so you gotta be careful with that. And yeah, there are some stuff there as well, as I mentioned before, that were just like straight up scams, right? One of them was radionics, right? This this idea of reading your life energy and living things are made of energy, right? And the fact that they can, I guess, cure illness and illnesses, right, by manipulating these energies, and they exclusively have the devices that can fix your problems, right? He's just funny to me, right? A big figurehead was, I think, Dr. Drown. Funny, she is a doctor, right? She went to school. She still came out like this. She tried to scam like an undercover agent that claimed that their child was sick. So she got busted. Apparently, the blood that got offered was from sheep. So it's a whole funny story. If you're interested, just look it up. Another one was phrenology, the idea that the shape of your skull and the shape of your head can determine your character. Like, what does that say? What does that say about people with lumpy heads? Like, Oh, look at this, your cranium has this shape. I guess you'll be a scammer when you grow up. Like, just some funny stuff, man. And another one on a more serious note was the exhibit for, or the section for traditional medicine, right? This is something that really hits close to home, the trust of science that we need to have in order for us to function as a society, right? So the main theme here is like, I guess, trusting things that are natural versus synthetic, right? I guess specifically just medicine, traditional medicine. I guess people trust traditional medicine because they claim to be natural, where really the natural effects are sometimes even side effects that the people who manufacture or claim these drugs to work don't really understand. Sometimes these side effects could be bad for you, right? In that they could lead to downstream problems, right? But a lot of people still trust, I guess, these claims that this medicine would work because it's natural, right? So you have to be careful with that. And there's this disdain for synthetic medicine as well, like traditional pills and stuff like that. I mean, sure, it is not appealing to take drugs, right? But these are things that are backed by science and peer reviewed, right? As a person that, of course, I had a degree in biology, it's kind of close to home, trying to discuss this with my mom because my mom is this staunch believer of, traditional medicine versus, synthetic medicine, right? Her majority of her claims, at least the two big claims, is that, of course, like, doctors don't really want to cure you, may just treat the symptoms. And the fact that these things are, and the other one is, a big one is, the government, this is just a way of the government just putting us under control, right? And trying to extract money from us, right? Who knows? That might be the case, right? But as far as I know, you would be better off trusting something that is peer reviewed, right? Something that has science backed by it, especially if it's the federal government or like the CDC, right? Versus some bozo claiming that this works and it's traditional. So if anything, you should be asking questions. If a person, be careful for a person that claims they know what's wrong with you, right? Just make sure you're asking questions, right? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the big thing here. Ask questions and make sure you have a good answer, right? And I don't really fault her, the government. Sometimes haven't been completely transparent with us, thinking back to 2020 and COVID. So there is a trust issue, I think, we have, but overall, I think we should still trust the science, right? Something that is actually researched and is in our best interest. Overall, the Science Museum is a great exhibit, right? There are also different floors with different things, from mathematics to biology, right, to geology, right, paleontology. Cool place if you want to bring your kids there. Perfect place to be. Yeah, I had a lot of fun over there. That was one of my big highlights. I guess another thing for me to think about the Science Museum, this scam, is the whole discussion with AI, right? Artificial intelligence. I feel like we're being sold a lie in some aspect, but I still feel like the technology is going to do more good than harm, right? Total lie in the sense that this isn't really artificial intelligence. It's more so just like a large language model, in the sense that you can, quote unquote, speak to this thing and it gives you a more personalized or human response, right? That's what it's been trained to do. And the answers it's given isn't really something that is thought through, like a traditional conscious thought. Is more so just like an average of data it's scraped from the internet. So it's not really artificial intelligence as it is just a more informed decision using the entirety of the internet as its source, right? So this whole issue of AI is also kind of misguided, but that's just something I was thinking about. But just let me know in the comments what you think. Now brings us to the boring part, which is school, right? That actually took the majority of my week there in Minnesota, the whole 6th week. So what did we actually do? Well, we did some hands-on practice based on what we learned on the online section, using some cool equipment, right? So we learned different skills based on different situations, right? So if a person, and priorities. So if a person is bleeding, for example, versus a person that's unconscious, obviously the person that's unconscious will have priority over a person that's bleeding, right? Because the person that's unconscious has threats to their airway. So if a person stops breathing and this person is in risk of death, right? That could be hypoxia or decreased cardiac functions, right? So a person that is not breathing, priorities is a big thing that we learned. We also had some fun with clinicals, right? Clinicals, and that we actually have real actors. We actually had to touch and treat, so to speak, right? Um, I killed a couple of them. Most of the people I killed were old people for some reason. I don't know why my team and I have, maybe we have a vendetta against old people, but like two of them died. One of them, like, we gave nitroglycerin without asking him whether or not he has whether or not he's taking EDs, right? And the way ED works is it dilates your blood, your blood vessels, so your blood pressure drops, and that's the same mechanism as how nitroglycerin works, right? For heart problems, in that dilates your blood vessels and decreases your blood pressure. So if you have two things decreasing your blood pressure, that's obviously bad for you, right? You need pressure to drive blood. So if your body doesn't have enough pressure to drive blood, that's hyperperfusion that can lead to shock. So we killed we killed a patient that is taking ED by simply not asking the person whether or not they're taking ED. So we gave him nitroglycerin and he died. So yes, please ask questions. That's a running theme here. So outside of that, outside of like schoolwork and learning, I had a chance to meet cool people. Met some cool instructors. Met some other students that were from out of state as well. Um, a lot of the people there were from different backgrounds. I met some people that were also in the firefighting business, trying to be a paramedic. Um, there were a couple of people and even instructors that were going to medical school, right? Some hoping for a career change, some of them for the military, right? Some pretty cool backstories and backgrounds. So kind of give me a new founded respect for those professions. As far as lesson learned, something I learned while being there. Obviously, there were the practical portions, right? The stuff you have to know to be an EMT, but there's also this life lesson I learned as well. And this also kind of ties to me being stressed and having high blood pressure is stress. So future REs, if you're listening, take it easy, man. Like, you don't necessarily have to do everything at once or quickly as possible. You can break things down and do them later, right? So you can do first, you have to plan. Make sure you have a solid plan for the week or the months going forward. And then you can start working from there. You don't have to finish everything the next day. You can break things down, right? Time yourself, I think, would help you out a lot. Certainly helped us out when we were in Minnesota. So do some things today, do the rest tomorrow. Try to spread them out as much as possible, especially if you have the time. Just don't stress yourself out trying to do everything at once, right? So please, like, that's a fast way to depression, all right? Because you feel like you're not making progress. Just break things down and make small progress from there, all right? Which leads us to today. As of, I think today is what's today? As of 11/15th, so November 15th, I have successfully completed my part two. So the practical portion of the EMT work. I have completed my final exam. I passed the course. Yay. So right now I am studying for my certification exam, the NREMT, right? So currently studying for it. It's taken longer than I anticipated, but after weighing my options and going through how I can make things more streamlined and faster, apparently this is the best I can do. It sucks, but I have to just keep studying until I'm ready, right? So based on my exam scores, it doesn't look like I'm ready to take the exam yet. So patience, right? Patience, don't be stressed. I guess we'll see how that goes. So maybe the deadline to take the NREMT is by the end of January. So that's a deadline there, but I should be able to take it before then, maybe sometime early January or December. I'm not stressing out. I'm doing the best I can. So that's still up in the air, still working towards that. As far as updates for the firefighting job, the paramedic trainee job is concerned, I have successfully completed my testing. So the medical tests, the psychological tests, and the physical test has been completed. As far as I know, there isn't anything else I'll have to do on my part. I'm just waiting for the final job offer. So waiting, right? Patience is the key here. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Now just planning for the future. The firefighting thing, I'm not sure if I discussed this in earlier videos, but is it's an entry position. So they train you in emergency services, which includes the medical and I guess the firefighting part. So you have to be certified for both of them. So you work there for, or you get trained for like 6 months, both in the medical and firefighting job fields, and then you get certified. A way the EMT stuff can feed here is if I do get certified as an EMT, that could fast track me into being a paramedic, which is what I prefer to work as. So maybe as I am training as a firefighter, I can work as an EMT and on the side, right? Like I mentioned before, like my one of my coworkers that works with my mom actually has a job offer for me. So as soon as I get certified, I can start working for him while I'm training for firefighting. So as I become a firefighter or a fire medic, I could use my NREMT certification to fast track myself into being a paramedic, right? And from there, maybe be a paramedic senior. So everything is streamlined. So that's a great plan going forward there. The big thing for me will be trying to balance working as both a firefighter and an EMT, right? The schedule to be a firefighter is, I think, you work for 24 hours and you rest for 48 hours. So work for a day straight, and then you rest for 2 days. So that's like 2 days a week I work. And the additional 4 days of rest, I guess I could use to work as an EMT on the side. But that's like in the future. But things are going to be hectic as I start training. As a fire medic trainee, you are required to be there, I think, full time. So that will be Monday to Friday for 8 hours. So I'm not sure how that's going to work with the EMT work, unless I work on the weekends, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, overall, I'm feeling pretty good. I have a solid plan forward. I learned some pretty cool stuff from pretty cool people. Making some progress on my goals is a big one. You know, feeling pretty good, making some progress moving forward. I'm interested and happy to see what the future holds for me. I'm gonna leave it at that. Don't forget to work good, rest good, play good. Bye.